You're on.
Nicely done, sir.
Hey everyone, welcome again to the Baseline Show. This is an exciting one. I'm hosting for the first time in the absence of the great John Walpert. So yeah, kudos to that. I don't have the music yet, so I can't play the music. But yeah, we can all give a kudos to John for doing a fantastic job so far on running the show, getting us all together, bringing together this community. So yeah, and we have some fantastic guests, some usual suspects, and some new faces being who've been joining Consensus, the great team at Mesh, and working on the baseline protocol. So I'll start with Kyle. Hi, Kyle. Hey, Nick. Hi, Mark.
Oh,
Andreas. Hey, Jack. Hi, Tyler. Hey, Jack. Vishwashri. Thanks for making it. Hey, Sam.
Hey.
Um, hello, Ryan. Hi, Mohan and Taylor. Hey, thanks all of you for making it, and the people who are joining on YouTube. It's really fantastic to always every Wednesday come to these office hours, talk about, or it's sort of roosting for believers of baseline, where we exchange notes on what we are doing um, on baseline and how we're baselining everything. I think we should come up with a tagline. Uh, we were getting creatives done for the India show, and that's the design. That's what the designer asked me. That can we have a tagline? We don't have a tagline, and they came up with, because they were designers. They came up with, oh, it's redefining blockchain. It's the blockchain without cryptocurrency. So I think that's the first order of business we discussed today, which is let's come up with a tagline for baseline.
let's not make it blockchain without cryptocurrency, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Let's
I
not
would
make it
I
that.
would go to that definitely.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think for today's show we're going to be talking about some updates on the standard. I think that's the most active thing for June. So we have Andreas, we also have Kyle. Let's talk about what Provide is doing. The great stuff which is happening at Provide. We also have Biswashri. She's going to talk about updates on how she's progressing with the grant that she had got. Last time I checked with her, she was mentioning that it's not as easy as I thought. so it's definitely treating her well.
But it's
And
still
then
easy, right, Biswashri? But it's
Yeah,
still
it's
easy.
definitely very, very easy. No.
why don't we
But
start?
still
I'm
it's
sorry to
not
put you on the
like-
spot there.
No, why don't you start, Biswashri? Why don't we start with you with your updates?
Uh, as you guys know that I'm working on the Excel plugin. So currently what the plugin can do, so the main two functionalities that I'm trying to achieve is that it should be able to send outbound messages to the baseline in case there are any changes made on the Excel sheet. And it should be able to receive any inbound messages from the baseline stack and then reflect those changes on the Excel sheet. So currently, the plugin is able to detect the changes on the Excel sheet, pick up the primary keys and the column and the data where the changes have been made, and send it out as a outbound message. So that work has been done. I'm still like working on refining it. It's very like basic features that have been developed, and now next step for the development for me is to work on the creating the inbound message, how we receive the inbound message, and then map it out to the proper data, and then update the Excel sheet accordingly. So that's
And
what
you're
I've been working on.
And you're running the stack locally, right? Like you're running a local stack to
Yes.
do that.
Yes, I'm running the local baseline stack for that.
And your Excel sheet is hitting the local stack.
It is hitting it, but there are still some like errors that I'm still getting. But yeah, I'm working on that.
That's awesome.
That's going great, Biswashri. And I hope that we're all able to use your plugin pretty soon. Anyone else wants to go up? Yeah, Nick. Yeah.
I've got a question for Bishwashri. What are your plans
Yes.
for publishing that or making that available to the community? Is it already in GitHub? If people are interested in exploring it, should they reach out to you? That kind of thing.
So currently, I have pushed it out to a branch, but because it's still in development, it's not, that branch is not public as yet.
Okay. Okay.
But I can answer
So
that.
I'll tag on there. I can add to that answer a little bit. So right before the baseline, the grant for the Biswashi received, Provide had engaged in Vision Blockchain for a month to do a spike on the Excel project. We built that in a private repo, but we're going to open source it. That's where, yeah. So it's looking cool. It's good stuff. Great work.
Awesome.
Awesome.
By the way, we should probably remind people, if they're first-time listeners, to hit the subscribe button and smash like if you like this. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Smash that like button, turn that subscribe button gray. Let's go.
Right
And what else should they do?
Turn on the
What else
notifications.
Yeah, we missed the
Yes.
bell.
What else? What else?
I don't know, Andreas.
What on?
Go and join the Baseline Slack.
Of course, yes.
Go on the Baseline page and join the Baseline Slack.
I was thinking of
Come on, guys.
pull request, GitHub. I don't know.
Oh man, you're like,
For
you're like
first
5
time
seconds.
listeners is baseline-protocol.org. Do join in.
Or
That's
just Google it. That
yeah,
will
just
get you
Google
there
it.
too. Just Google it. Baseline Protocol, GitHub. You'll get right there. Click on the link for Slack. Join the fun. Join the conversation and go crazy. There will be some new exciting grants coming up soon.
Oh yeah. And yeah, that reminds me of the grants which is still sitting unclaimed. So John keeps talking about that each time, and I think there's been no movement on that this week as well. So I think I can comfortably say that the grants still stand. The Hello World grant still stands unclaimed. So yeah, it's open, it's ripe. I am talking to somebody later today about that grant. Jointly participate and grab that. So let's see how that goes. So Andreas, why don't you come next and talk about the standards? You know, how far are we? If you need anybody else to contribute,
Contributions are always welcome. Contributions are always welcome. So we got of the 7 sections that we have, 7 or 8. We have the design and architecture section 2 is done, is in the bag. We do have the consensus controlled state machine spec, also known as blockchain, for baseline protocol implementation. That's also in. What's currently being reviewed in and hacked on is the API spec. Kyle and his team is being driven insane by hundreds of comments, and so that's good. There's also a current work or PR, another PR that's outstanding on the agreement processing, agreement execution. So actually, what helps, what happens in the gut of the baseline stack. And then most recently, there's now a PR on identifiers, identity, and credentials that are going to be used within a baseline protocol implementation. So please check that out. There's another PR in the hopper for early next week. Finally get an introduction, and then do some specifications around the abstraction / integration layers that go the integration from the baseline stack into the consensus controlled state machine, aka blockchain, and from the baseline stack into any other consuming applications such as Excel. So that's so Bishwarshi, so then your next challenge is you need to add OAuth 2 to your communication between Excel and the baseline stack. Just kidding.
Uh,
Well, that's kind of already there.
But
in many ways.
that is actually going to be a requirement.
Very straightforward.
Very straightforward.
It's
Just
OAuth,
spin up an
so
OAuth
it's-
2.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just spin up an OAuth server.
That's a bounty created in real time and also claimed.
Yeah. And then as a next step, there is going to be so what there'll be soon some RFPs around adding specific DIT methods to the baseline reference implementations, and as well as to some work to make that particular bring that DIT method up to speed. That is an Ethereum-based DIT method. If you're interested, wait and check out get on GitHub and find those pages where you can see that the RFPs that are out there for development work, or make your own proposal. That was my update.
Andreas, can I ask you a question? And this may be for Kyle as well. Is there a specification that's coming along for base ledger?
So yeah, Andreas, I'll let you go first on this one, and then I'll go.
So base ledger is a version of basically the agreement execution layer. If you're looking at that stack, just that there is more than one instance. Or if you want to go, depending on how you want to look at it, it's actually also a CCSM underlying there that is then sitting by itself, and then you can obviously always pin any private chain onto Ethereum. So, but you can just can think of base ledger as a network version of the agreement execution layer.
Yeah, that's well said. I think. I also I think it's actually more like a public permissioned model, not a private model. But the way we're sort of looking at base ledger is you have these components of the provide stack that are running in certain places like Kona and serving ServiceNow. We have a handful of POCs that are sort of in the pipeline there, and some other ones that are interesting. And the open source strategy provide has always been to wait and see, right? Instead of just open sourcing things into a vacuum and giving things away. The strategy has always been to mature the technology over some number of years now. And once it's been ready, when there's enough demand from the community, to open source the parts that are in demand. And so the way that we sort of see Base Ledger as an enabling opportunity for the community is really to begin that open source story. Like we're sort of really it's the beginning of the end of that open source story, really, where we can start to pinpoint a few of our microservices in our architecture that have reached maturity and that are in high demand, and open source them as Base Ledger, but also taking into account the great work that Martin and Stefan and team at Unibright have been doing around the consensus model and staking rewards and that sort of thing. And we're really looking at Base Ledger. It's a place you can put proofs for baseline, but it's also like the way that I look at PRI1 in this context is almost like a layer 2.1. When you have, and I know I just made that up, so you can troll me if you want, but what I mean by that is organizations can't just dump their proofs or their data into L2. There has to be a middleware that marshals the proofs and handles implements the baseline. It's the BPI, right? So yeah, so I think that together, yeah, that sort of completes my thoughts, I guess. But it's there's a handful, a handful of our services that we're really targeting for open source as part of the base ledger release or testnet that's coming up here pretty soon.
Thank you.
So, question on timing, Kyle. I think you hit on it at the end. You're planning that open source release kind of aligned with base ledger, right?
Yeah, of course. And it's coming fast. It's like it'll be here like this summer, toward the latter part of summer. But yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense, and will enable BRI1 and that reference implementation even further, and enable base ledger. And I think it makes a lot of sense.
Thanks, Kyle. I think that was pretty fantastic. It's always good to have you talking about the projects you're working on. Actually, it was the most interesting updates. Moving on, I think there was a question on ServiceNow integration. So, you want to address that one?
Oh,
It just came through YouTube. People
What was the
asking
question?
status on the ServiceNow integration.
Yeah. So it's baked into our stack, and it's actually working. We demoed it here on the show, some months ago, I guess, with Nicola, and we've been working with a couple of ServiceNow customers, big ones, some financial institutions, and some other ones, notable. And they're building on it. They're building some POCs, and by POC, when I say POC, I mean production POC. I don't mean POC like it used to mean. We got to be able to say
more of a.
We got to be able. It's more of a pilot, but we got to be able to say the word POC and have it mean the right thing, I guess. I think that there's a lot of stigma around that word in blockchain. But yeah, ServiceNow is coming well.
Yeah, we can safely say that it's the strongest pilot out there, right?
I'm sorry, what was that?
I was just saying we can safely say that this was the strongest. This is the strongest pilot out there, right? Jack, you were saying something?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Certainly. What's been interesting, furthermore, from the ServiceNow perspective, is some of the clients that we're engaging with them on, they're looking not only internal operational processes to improve upon those, but actual customer-facing applications, line of business delivering applications that are producing deeper value and revenue within internal to the business or to the bank, for example. So that's been something that we've been really excited about in the engagements thus far.
Kind of a land and expand strategy, Jack, right?
Yeah. I mentioned this previously, like it's been very interesting, the amount of feedback that we've had with a number of customers that we're engaging with, in which not only the operational efficiencies that can be gained as a result of baselining and the ability to align incentives amongst the ecosystem participants, but the opportunity for customers to build services and new revenue on top of this as well. Being such an open network, very modular network that can be built upon, that's been just something that a lot of the customers that we're engaging with have been very excited about and have seen value in doing.
Awesome. A bit of a realization of the decentralized promise, right? That's beautiful. Great work.
Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome work, guys. So yeah, I think those were the updates. Sam, are there any updates? Is Sam on? Yeah, Sam is on. Yeah. Sam, any updates from the maintainers group?
No, always looking to add new maintainers to the team. If anybody's interested, please feel free to reach out.
Go for it. It's just like the subscribe button on YouTube. So go for it. Call for maintainers.
That like button's not.
Yeah. Feel free to reach out via the Slack is probably the best way to start a conversation. But happy to get any contributions we can. And if people can talk to me or Kyle, or there's a maintainers list on the baseline repo. So feel free to reach out to any of us.
Excellent. So yeah, we are actively recruiting maintainers on the baseline. So I think that's what we had for the planned updates. Anybody else would want to go ahead Yeah.
Did you talk about your India show?
Oh yeah, let me talk about my India show.
You almost forgot the big. Yeah, come on.
The big announcement. So I was actually sort of thinking of closing with that. So there's going to be an India show. So if people watching on YouTube, if you're tuning in from India, do look out for the India version of the show. It's coming on the 1st of July. I just pushed it by some time so that we could gather the right steam. I'm talking to sponsors from India, the big names. I would leave it to John when he comes back to announce the names one by one as they come on. And we're going to be inviting people. So it's going to be structured in a way that every week we meet, but every 2 weeks we also showcase projects. So that way we also maintain some kind of regular cadence on what is happening with the big ones and also with startups. So that's something which is in the works.
July 1st, what time in India? If people are watching the recording and they want to put this in their calendar, what should they pencil in?
Yeah. So every Thursday at 6 p.m. That's what we are planning to do. And yeah, Mohan, you want to talk about something which you're doing?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I've been anonymous thus far, so because we've been trying to look at some projects that we could work on. We were previously in a social travel startup, which we had to abandon last year or early this year, and so we have essentially now sort of gotten onto a zero waste project in Asia and Africa. It's basically around neighborhoods in terms of capturing and waste at the neighborhood level, and then in helping communities upcycle and recycle those, so that you can kind of build what's called as the circular economies rather than ending up in heaps. And there's a lot of export of waste from developed nations to developing nations as well. So we're trying to build, it's kind of, it's called reverse supply chain, but we believe that if we're coming in from the consumer street level, if you want to call it that, but then at some point it will touch point with corporates in terms of corporate social responsibility, commerce, one way or the other. So for us, we look at baseline as being sort of a key aspect, probably of our foundation as a blockchain, as well as being able to interoperate with corporate blockchains. So, I've talked to Kyle about this. It's been a bit vague. We have a team now that's growing fast in India, and so we're pulling in a lot of NGOs there that are interested in getting onto our platform. We actually are converting our social network platform for travel into a platform for sustainability.
Hey, Mohan, I don't know if you have already, but you should reach out to Dan Norkin and Jason Pansis at Envision. They've done a lot of work on sustainability, a number of different projects on blockchain and not. So they're very knowledgeable and may be able to help drive your project forward.
What's the name? What's the last name? What's the last name again?
Daniel
Envision.
Norkin, Norkin.
Okay.
And Jason Pansis, Pancis. They're both on the baseline Slack.
Okay, great.
If you'd like, Mohan, I can give you. No worries. I was going to say I can introduce you to Envision if you'd like.
Please do, Kyle. Please do.
Yeah, I'll do that today.
That's a very exciting project, Mohan. I think, and I would also want to be personally involved with this one because, circular economy is something which I've been researching on a lot. I think since the past 8 to 10 years, I published several papers as well. So I think it will be great. And I think the last 2 papers which I published were actually how we can use blockchain or /DLTs to recover what was lost. So I think it's extremely exciting space to be. Fantastic, kudos. By the way, I'm also working on something which is got to do with carbon. I don't want to jinx it by talking about it too early.
This is awesome because Samrat, the thing we wanted to do, in fact, I'm starting to engage with Columbia University because they are working with IBM on what's called as a carbon engine, which is they want to open source. I mean, IBM wants to open source it. But what we're doing is not so much carbon footprint. There's a carbon supply chain, right? That which is kind of they have this. I was just listening to a conversation from IBM. They're a private blockchain, so they have a bit of an issue trying to capture sensitive, sort of high sensitive data in the tracking of, basically carbon offsets in the supply chain or carbon footprint in the supply chain. What we're doing is we're doing green offsets. What we want to get to is green offset trading, where if there's a sustainable community in terms of recycling, zero waste management, then there's a transfer of value that comes from the developed nations into the developing nations, much akin to carbon. But then obviously carbon has got policy and tax exemptions or tax incentives, whereas green doesn't. And so that's the next thing we need to go through. But it's an interesting way of approaching the green problem, much alike the carbon problem.
Yeah. Oh, I was just trying to excite a couple of interns in my team about working on this project. And I said, guys, do you want to work for an industry which is 272 billion worth? Oh yeah, I do. And then it was like, this carbon market is huge. So I think, we should talk offline definitely more. Thank you so much for.
Thank you.
So on the India updates, I will keep posting on Slack how we're progressing. There are some beautiful creatives which we've got made just to make the announcements and also plan the outreach. So all of those will also be shared with all of you. So I'm banking on all of you to share it in your network so that we can get as many eyes, as many hands on the keyboard as possible. So that's it from my side. I think we will be able to wrap up pretty soon today. Any other updates from anyone?
I just want to take a moment to thank you, Samrat. This is wonderful. Thank you for stepping in.
I'm enjoying it.
John's at Legoland being tortured by his children, and this is a very powerful and very positive community, and we've got a lot of leadership and a lot of people willing to step up. And thank you very much for doing this today.
Yeah, agreed.
I really appreciate all of you making it today. See you next week.
Sounds
wonderful.
Good.
Thank you.
I was going to say shout out to Lucas on that provide CLI though. Good work, man.
Heck yeah. Way to go, Lucas.
Thanks, everyone.
Should we all dance like we're listening to music anyway?
Everyone dance.
Do we have a new tune now or